Welcome to Days of Eternity. Spin the wheel, something, Star Horse.
How's it going, everybody? Today, the plan is to spin this wheel of random NBA teams. Whoever we get, that's what this video is going to be about. Because it's easier to just. I think it's funnier to just think of things organically. That way, you know this isn't planned. You know this isn't rehearsed. And if I forget something, then you can't be mad at me because it's off the top of my head. So this first spin, we are going to go. Is it going to focus? You guys will be able to see it eventually. Who are we going to get? Who's first? Philly. Wow. Philadelphia 76ers, come on down. Okay, so, well, as of this recording, the Montrezl Harrell signing happened yesterday. And it was actually at the same time that I was talking about Montrezl Harrell in a different video. One that I'm not sure if I'm going to release because it was a little bit unhinged and all over the place and not a lot was being talked about. So if you ever see me in the coming days release a video where I'm wearing a Suns hat and I'm talking about Montrezl Harrell, that's the one, and I did end up releasing it. Anyways, let's talk about the Sixers. I said in a recent video that I thought that Atlanta might be able to get up to a 3 seed this year, right? And that ruffled a lot of feathers. Don't expect that video anytime soon, by the way. I'm still keeping that one in the chamber. Let me refine it a little bit, make sure everything is, in order before I unleash that take in its full, greatness. Now, obviously, me saying Atlanta would be a 3 seed would mean that something has gone catastrophically wrong with Brooklyn that's a weird team to start with Boston, with Milwaukee, with Philadelphia, right? Like if Atlanta's getting up there, then something has gone wrong with the big dogs. And the question has to be asked, well, who would be most susceptible to that happening? The answer is probably the Philadelphia 76ers. And the only reason that I say that is strictly because of the composition of the roster that they currently have with the existing guys like Joel Embiid and James Harden and how I almost said flakiness. That's not the right word for it, but they're hurt a lot. And if they're not hurt, then one of them, without naming names, is pretending that they can't play basketball so that they'll end up in a better situation. And then when they end up in that better situation, they'll pretend that they can't play basketball until they end up in a better situation. And then they end up in a better situation with the GM that they were with originally, who traded for them originally, which is like their best friend. This is not and I love Daryl Morey. And I think, and everything that Daryl Morey will ever do, I think is the right thing. I love him, and I love him. But what do we got in Philly this year? The Tyrese Maxey thing is only working, right? That's been proven. The Matisse Thybulle thing, that is only working. That's been proven. The Joel Embiid experience at this point, I feel like, is nothing short of remarkable. And if we're going to continue to go down this path of Joel Embiid keeps getting better and better and better and better, but something keeps going wrong, like at the absolute worst time, right? Whether he takes a dive, whether the team takes a dive, whether he's getting hurt, whether somebody else, goes to the moon. It feels like Joel Embiid keeps getting screwed out of these MVP conversations where December through February, he's going to be putting up, 30, 14, and 7. And then in March, when Jokic is putting up 60, 39, and 55, you're just like, well, shit, what are we supposed to, you know what I mean? I'm actually going to derail myself for a second. I don't want to talk about Embiid, Korkmaz, Tobias, James Harden, Matisse, Shake Milton, Tyrese. I don't want to talk about these guys. I want to talk about DeAnthony Melton. I don't know if this has ever happened to somebody else where someone goes, you told me something once that really meant a lot to me, and they tell you what it was, and you don't remember saying that, but you're like, wow, that's a really good take. Well, this happened to me recently, where they're like, the best advice you ever gave me is that in this industry, your opinion on role players matters more to me than your opinion on the stars. Bars, facts, Wickless, hand me my shit. I was getting my shit off when I said that. That's facts. Because anybody can sit here and say Luka Doncic is really good, but not a lot of people can sit here and talk about the Swiss Army knives and the guys playing center field, right? The Bruce Browns and the DeAnthony Meltons of the world. And ultimately, that's what it comes down to for me, is as a Pistons fan, watching a guy like Bruce Brown, who Zach Lowe is the one who sort of coined he's like making up a position in basketball, and he's like doing this thing in Brooklyn. It's like, no, everything he was doing in Brooklyn, he was doing in Detroit. It was just a little bit more refined, and you were able to appreciate it more because it's actually on a winning team, because those players who sort of do all the little gritty things, who do all, make all those defensive plays, can only shoot corner threes, can't do anything else, can handle a little bit, can pass a little bit, but it's like, It's about the intangibles that they bring, right? It's about the grittiness that they bring, and that's what you get out of a guy like DeAnthony Melton, right? You're not throwing him out there to score in bunches, but I love the glue that holds these teams together, right? And that's where the DeAnthony Meltons of the world come in, and I love that they have him now. Was it a few years ago that Brett Brown was like, this team's built for the playoffs, and then Ben Simmons blew out his knee. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit wishy-washy on Sixers timeline stuff because it's been such a chaotic few years. But hasn't Embiid gotten hurt in the playoffs every single time? I remember reading an article. I read an article about this recently. Joel Embiid has been hurt. Has been sidelined for at least one game in the playoffs 4 out of the 5 times that he has actually made the playoffs. Now, here's the thing is it as simple as saying well, Joel Embiid just needs to not get hurt? Because, yeah, of course. But here's the thing is with these championship teams, what do you always see? It's always the same consistent thing. Actually, it's exactly what the hell I was just talking about with all these role players, being the glue that holds these teams together. It's one of the reasons why Golden State was so dominant. And also, they had fucking Steph Curry and Clay. I don't have to explain it, but we saw the depth that they had, right, and how it benefited them. So the question becomes, is Philadelphia's depth at center better than it has been in previous years? Kind of, probably. I don't know. What is it? Paul Reed, PJ Tucker. And the PJ Tucker experience, I feel like, has slowly morphed into the Robert Covington experience, but it's been going on with PJ for, I'd say, about the same amount of time as it has with Robert Covington, in the sense that Team X is looking to acquire person X, being Robert Covington or PJ Tucker. Does this make them title contenders? You know how many times a team has won a championship after trading for Robert Covington? 0. You know how many times a team has won a championship after trading for PJ Tucker? Well, that depends, because I don't remember if Milwaukee traded for PJ or if they signed him. Touche, Nick. We're going to get back to that in just a second. As a quick little side note, I'm so excited to be back. Reading the comments. You guys are great. I love that you guys see horrible lighting and there's not a lot going on, and you guys are like, I fucking love it. I love it. I love that you guys are like, you don't have to try, because we're just here to talk, man. We're just here to hang out, and I love it. Okay. The other thing with Embiid is he's just so damn funny. It's really easy to root for him. I don't know. Actually, is it easy to root for Joel Embiid as a Pistons fan? Because I think I've said this before. My problem with Joel Embiid for so many years was I had to pretend that I had a rivalry with him because Andre Drummond was on my basketball team. So every time I saw Philadelphia on the schedule, it was like, oh, okay, so I have to pretend for the next 2 hours that Andre Drummond isn't getting punked by Joel Embiid. Got it. And because of that, it formed a sort of, there was some vitriol in there for Joel Embiid. But then, now we're removed from the Andre Drummond relationship, and we've moved on, and I've gotten to watch Joel Embiid thrive as a player in his career, and I love him. And that's why this durability stuff with him, you feel for him. Every single time something happens, even if it's just like a little thumb injury, a little ligament thing that he's got going on, which honestly, I say a little ligament injury. A ligament injury could be completely debilitating. But how many times have we seen it that this small thing ends up completely changing the way that he's able to impact a game from anywhere? He doesn't have... What is the joke? He doesn't have glass bones and paper skin. Every night he doesn't break his legs and break his arms. It's not like that. I'm not trying to treat him like a Make-A-Wish kid because I love him. And just give him the MVP. I am historically very anti, retroactive, making up for we should have given this guy the MVP. The whole, the James Harden, Russell Westbrook thing, making up for the fact that you didn't give this guy an MVP, so now we're going to reward him with one because we blew it in a previous year. I'm always against that at this point. If Joel Embiid averages 27 and the Sixers win 50 games, it's fine. But he has to play 65 games is not enough. 70 games? Can I say 70 games? Is that? I'd have to look. Actually, that's a good question. What is the average amount of games that an MVP has to play? What's usually the bar? That's a good question. I don't know what that would be. I'll have to look into that because I may be off. I'm going to say he has to. This is stupid. I'm arguing against myself. God, I'm in preseason form right now. We'll get it back. This one was kind of all over the place. But that was the point, because I spun the wheel. I forgot. When I hit record, I did not know this was going to be about the Sixers. Boom. Okay,